There's been so much good basketball, and because of that, there's a lot of players that aren't getting as much shine as they deserve. And so I thought I could just go through 4 players that I think deserve a little bit more shine and maybe just shed some light as to why. So, first one, Michael Porter Jr., who plays for the Denver Nuggets. It's all about the obviously Nikola Jokic, and it should be because he is like everything that makes his team go. Even like some of the rookies and the young guys are getting a lot of shine, Aaron Gordon, but I just don't hear a lot of people talking about MPJ. He's been really good for them. 16 points, 8 boards, 2 assists per game, career high in both assists and rebounds so far this season. He's been really good on the boards and also really good as a defender. There was a ton of possessions where he was guarding Luka in the in-season tournament game last Friday, and I think the Nuggets feel comfortable with that. They were hunting that switch oftentimes, the Mavericks were, and he played him so well. Aaron Gordon, after the game, said teams aren't going to be able to isolate him like that. And if they do, it's going to be a bad look. It's going to be a bad shot. He's 6'10, he's athletic, he has a long wingspan, so it's not an easy score. And then Michael Malone, after the game, also said that what Michael is doing is showing that he cares. He's like, he also commented that nobody's going to be perfect on defense, but that MPJ is showing that he cares on the defensive end, which is kind of what he's always needed to do. He's very athletic. He's a giant. And Aaron Gordon mentioned it. He's 6'10", long arms. All he had to really do was care and like show some effort on Luka, and it made his life really difficult. So a lot of people with the Nuggets like to focus on Jokic, but I think MPJ's leap is coming, and he hasn't even shot the ball all that well yet. I think he's going to shoot the ball better. And if you add the defense, the passing, he's been a monster on the boards from the wing. I think that his season is pretty underrated so far, and I think that he deserves a little bit more shine than he's gotten.
How much credit do you give to Calvin Booth for his off-season comments in the preseason to the Ringer? You know, some mind games.
Hey,
Has he created this defensive beast?
yeah, Calvin Booth has been pushing a lot of buttons over the last couple of years
He
for the
has.
Nuggets, and like almost
Pushing the
all of
right
them
ones.
have worked. So yes, I will give credit where credit's due to Calvin Booth. Next one, I just want to highlight Chet Holmgren real quick. He's been unbelievable for the Thunder. You mentioned it: 16.8 points per game, 7.9 boards, 2.6 assists, a steal, 2.5 blocks, 57, 55, 90 shooting splits. The shooting has been ridiculous. That's the thing that has opened up a ton of things for the Thunder, is that he is a real shooter, and teams have to guard him, and it opens so much up for Shea and Giddy and for J Dub. But he's 87th percentile as a pick and roll man so far this season. 1.44 points per possession when he is pick and roll man. He's been so good, and then in transition, he's an absolute monster because he runs the floor well. He can handle in transition. He had a really crazy behind the back pass to Cason Wallace the other night. 1.45 points per possession, 92nd percentile in transition. This team is going to play fast. They're going to get up and down the court. His blocks are leading to transition points. Against the Hawks, he had 3 blocks that led to 7 points for the Thunder. He's been amazing. And a lot of it's overshadowed because of a lot of the Wembanyama talk, but I think there's room to talk about both. And it's not me saying like we should talk about Chet over Wemby. It's not that. Obviously, we should talk about Victor Wembanyama. Everybody is. But I think there's room enough to talk about Chet too, who's been amazing. And they have a matchup Tuesday night in Oklahoma City. Should be a very, very fun matchup. But yeah, Chet has been outstanding so far for the Thunder. Probably more than you could have asked for from Chet so far.
Hey, and we'll be there, Andrew, next Tuesday
We'll
night.
be there.
You and
in
I.
person, Down to Dunk night. Yep. And if you want more Thunder content, go listen to Down to Dunk. Next, Scotty Barnes. Holy smokes. He's been so good. 21.5 points per game, 10 boards, 6 assists, 1.5 steals, 2.1 blocks per game. Crazy. And the thing that I want to highlight is that he is becoming more of an offensive hub for the Raptors. Last season, he was in the 30th percentile as a pick and roll ball handler. 0.73 points per possession. It's not good. In fact, people were just crying all season. Scotty Barnes isn't a point guard. Why are they doing this? What are the Raptors doing with him? They're ruining Scotty Barnes. This season, he's in the 79th percentile as a pick and roll ball handler. It's working. He's averaging 6 assists per game. Obviously a career high. He's been outstanding. And I just want to just point out that sometimes whenever you put players in position to do things that are a little awkward and don't look good, it can be for reasons like this, where I think it was very intentional that they put Scotty Barnes in uncomfortable positions as a playmaker last year so that he can learn and become a better player. And he did that. And I linked this to what we talked about with Sochan last week. I think the Spurs are doing the right thing. Not that Jeremy Sochan's going to come out and average 21, 10, and 6 next year. But I do think that putting players in positions to grow, like they did with Barnes last year, can really help. And Barnes is off to just a ridiculous start to his season. He's been unbelievable.
I went back. We did our offseason pod where we were drafting guys based on who we thought was going to make their first All-Star game. And so I just went back to that to see where, because I couldn't remember where we picked Scotty Barnes. He was the last pick. We came up with 9 other names before we got to Scotty Barnes. And now it seems so obvious in retrospect, because like we knew going into the season, okay, they don't have Fred VanVleet anymore. We're expecting him to get a heavier offensive load, which he has gotten. He's just far exceeded any expectation. Like even if you were high on Scotty going into the season, he has exceeded those expectations. Yeah, he's been a blast to watch.
Yeah. Last one, Shaedon Sharpe for the Blazers. He's up to 19 points per game from 9 last year. Obviously, it's because of like the shot attempts. He's like almost doubled his shot attempts. He's also playing 39 minutes a game. He's playing a lot, but it's not even the points to me. It's him using his athleticism to make like winning plays. That block on Luke Kennard to send the game to overtime last Friday night was unbelievable. I mean, he had to come from pretty far away to block that corner 3. That's just such a tough shot to block, but his athleticism is just through the roof. And then in the overtime, game's locked at 106. He hits a step back 3 that really is kind of the dagger of the game. I mean, he was awesome. He was attacking Triple J during that game. He was fearless. He looks pretty good as a passer too. He was not really that at all last year. And you can tell the game is slowing down for him because he can navigate screens well. He's becoming a better passer. I think this experience for him, where he kind of gets to be the man, is going to be a huge blessing in disguise for the Blazers as they go through this season. They're not going to win a lot of games, and that's okay. But if you can get Shaedon Sharpe valuable minutes running the offense and becoming a better decision maker, it's going to pay huge dividends for the Blazers in the future. So shout out to Shaedon Sharpe. He's had a really fun season so far.
I think back to when we were going through the surprise teams and how much of our attention when we got to the Blazers was about all these vets they had. I think it's a great sign for Blazers fans that like we're at this part of the season, we're talking about Shaedon Sharpe instead of talking about, like Jeremy Grant or, Malcolm Brogdon. It's awesome that we're talking about Shaedon Sharpe, that he's having that much of a jump already in the season. And obviously the injury to Simons helps out a bit because that freed up some usage for him. But he has really stepped up.